Due to time restrictions and so forth, I've had to edit a 40 plus page speech down to 7 pages, believe it or not. Nonna, the strongest woman I've ever known. I can feel your soul and energy so strong in this building. You are not only looking upon us from above, you're also still with us right now. My story begins in the 70s, and I thank my mum, Anna, and my dad, Terry, for this. This time of the world was so simple, especially with technology and transport. Nonna never had fancy gadgets. She never felt she needed them. Nonna also never had a driver's license, which she often told me over the years it was the one thing she wished she had. My time began on Charles Road in Lilydale. 18 acres, I believe, of quality farmland. Nonna and Nonno, and this was after arriving to Australia in 1954. It wasn't until February of 1956 they found the Charles Road property. Times were so tough at this point. Between Nonna, Nonno, Uncle Paul and Mario, there was no phone, no running water, and no electricity. They used to pump water from the creek nearby into their water tank. During this time, my mum, Anna, was only about 4, and my uncle Leo was just a baby. And no one could speak a word of English. After I was born, these are a few things I still remember ever so clearly from back then. Nonno drove a big yellow wagon, and he was Nonna's transport everywhere. Nonna was the common housewife who made huge sacrifices while doing all the cleaning, all the washing, looking after 2 kids, dealing with the Colangelo brothers' concreting business, helping with chopping wood outside for the combustion stove, cleaning the back then outside non-flushing toilet, where at night whilst at this point there was no electricity in the house. There was only a candle in the outside toilet. This being next to the huge wood shed and the bungalow. Down from this, off the driveway, was the brothers' very own fuel bowser for the concreting business. Behind all of this, heading towards Uncle Paul's property, was a huge vegetable garden, which brings me now to this next bit. Amongst all the cleaning, the chopping of wood, the washing, etc., Nonna was the ultimate queen and the king of the kitchen, with homegrown vegetables direct from this massive garden shared between Nonna, Nonno, Uncle Paul and Mario. Yes, all 3 Colangelo families on this one huge property. It didn't matter what Nonna was cooking. Pasta sauce began preparation in the morning with 2 special ingredients: love and patience. Throughout the day, you could smell this legendary masterpiece from way outside, be it spaghetti bolognese, lasagna, tons of salad, polpette, meatballs, chicken schnitzels, soups, and more. Everyone gravitated to Nonna's cooking and the warm, opened door welcome into the home. Everyone's birthday, Christmas, Easter was always a huge gathering here, and at Uncle Paul's and at Uncle Mario's place. Every time one mentioned they were full, Nonna would only offer more and more and more. These gatherings also at various times included the Casallinis and the Bonfadinis, two of the main lifelong close family friends to the Colangelos, as at this point the whole local area around Lilydale was dominated by the Italian community. During all these years, my other discovery was Nonna's deep passion and dedicated to the church. Every Sunday and probably every chance she got, Nonna attended church. Mum and my sister often also attended, even via attending St. Pat's Primary School from prep to grade 6. Attending church was a must. I personally could never get my head around the prayers, etc. But as more years went on, I gained a high level of respect and admired Nonna's obsession. She knew all the priests, all the locals, and in between them all, I believe they all found peace, harmony, and their own strong connection with God. During these first years, I also discovered Nonna absolutely despised of smoking. With every family gathering, both in the kitchen and the lounge room, there was always a thick cloud of smoke. Nonna always had his favourite brand of the blue labelled drum tobacco. It never personally bothered me, as when Nonna had his next pack, I always asked him if I could smell inside it. Nonna always giggled and gave it to me. And Nonna would say at any given time, mamma mia, Francesco, Dio benedette, no cigarette. No bloody smoke, Francesco. Which also brings me to various nicknames Nonna and I had via Nonna and some cousins. Many cousins called Nonna Pucha, Auntie Mary, and Nonna Musha. Whenever the phone rang, Nonna never liked answering the phone, and he'd always yell out, Musha! Really loud. This happened then until his dying day. Both Nonna and Nonna called me Bibi Bobby, and I never understood that one. Roberto was very common, and King Baby was frequent purely due to me being the first and eldest grandchild. Another discovery that Nonna disliked but still accepted was the brothers' profanities. The profanity was funny, and quite often everyone knew what they were and what it all meant. And to keep traditions ongoing, even after the last Colangelo brother, Tony, passed away in January of 2014, I had continued the tradition. I had continued all these naughty words, which surprisingly often lit Nonna up in great fond memory. After weighing options up in 1984, Nonna and Nonna sadly had to sell the property of Charles Road in Lilydale, or at least their huge section they had. Nonna and I would often talk so fondly about those years till her dying day. Nonna and Nonna moved to Gillian Street in Mooralbark, a standard sized block. They both had major readjusting to do from such a huge property. At this new address, it was the same fun gatherings with all the relatives. The kitchen still remained the best smelling restaurant on the planet. Nonna would often take Nonna and I to the TAB with him, and often to the old legendary Lilydale Market. After 7 years of Gillian Street in Mooralbark, Nonna sadly passed away after ongoing health issues, which brought Nonna to her unit on Clark Street in Lilydale, an opened door home for all to visit for 28 years. In this time more in my adult years, I became even more fascinated in her knowledge of cooking, travelling, knitting, the family making efforts to fit in Australia in the early days, how she remembered everyone's name, she remembered everyone's birthday dates, of all our fallen loved ones and more. This all being without the help from Google. All such breathtaking skills which only made our bond even stronger. Late in 2020, via Nonna becoming physically weaker, she entered Lilydale aged care. These were challenging but enjoyable times till she was admitted to hospital recently. I was so confident Nonna had at least a couple more years left in her, but on the evening of Wednesday, the 2nd of November, I wasn't supposed to tear up in this one. The evening of Wednesday, the 2nd of November, I received the most heart-crushing news from my Uncle Leo that I have been incredibly lucky, fortunate, and blessed to have called you Nonna and be your grandson. Ti amo, Nonna.